computer.
Got it. This falls down halfway through.
Yeah.
That'll be my luck.
There it is. Okay, we're being recorded. So 3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody. I'm Gary Massa here with Chantal Dussers of Dussers and Parvizi, one of my great friends, but in the realm of estate planning law, and she's been a wealth of knowledge. Chantal, last week we talked a little bit more in depth about the Proposition 19 that passed. I had some questions. I've got a lot of clients having a lot of questions on this topic, and sounds to me like it's pretty much the hottest thing that you're talking about right now with your clients. Is that right?
Yes. Hi, Gary. Thank you for having me. Hope you had a nice Christmas and holidays. And it definitely is. I know we spoke a little bit, and we're kind of like, you know, rounding up and getting over this last week, ready to start 2021. And while a lot of us are kind of taking it easy, I think there's a lot of people right now who are not taking it easy and have a bunch of questions about some major changes in some new laws regarding parent-child exclusions and Proposition 19.
Right, and you know, and again, just to kind of separate this, Proposition 19 had some positive benefits for certain groups of people, right, over 55, severely handicapped and or victims of wildfire. There's also the inheritance tax piece of this that actually is going to create a lot more challenges for people, which is what we're going to focus on right now, being you're more in the realms of tax planning. But Chantal, can you tell me, or just kind of frame up what the challenge has become, as what will be the deadline is February 21st, right?
It is February 16th, actually.
Oh, 16th, okay.
2020, so even sooner, unfortunately. We're not working with much time here on Prop 19. So I think everybody is like scrambling, attorneys, property owners, and just kind of wondering, what does this mean? What happens in regards to these properties that I own, or any inheritance that I want to give? And then, you know, children or friends or family who are in that position where they stand to inherit are also wondering. And I think, you know, for the longest time, myself included, it just almost wasn't very clear. Okay, wait, what's happening with everything? You know, I think a lot of clients have called us, and then, or if they don't call us, they're assuming right now that if they had a revocable trust in play, that they're okay.
Right.
You know, their loved ones are going to inherit the property. There's no reassessment when the property's inherited. Parent-child exclusions could apply, but that's no longer the case, Gary.
Right, right. So, I mean, let's see, there's some tax things as well that are going to change that you would talk to your CPA about. But in terms of how can you protect yourself now, is there anything that you can do if you're, you know, if you're possibly going to be inheriting a property in the near future? I don't know. I've heard a lot of different things of what people think that they can do. I know it's still slightly unclear, but what are some of the things that you think your clients could be doing right now, or what people need to be doing right now to get the right information and start planning appropriately?
Great question. So just to kind of do a brief overview for those who aren't very aware what Prop 19 is, just to be clear, the inheritance laws are changing. So after February 16th of 2021, I got to start getting used to that and writing it down. But after 2021, if you inherit a property, there's no longer an exclusion unless it's considered your primary residence. So there's just a couple things I want to touch on that can raise some issues that people should start considering. So the first thing is, and I'll use myself in this hypothetical, I'm one of 3 children. So if my parents left the home to us and we all wanted to occupy it as our primary residence, that would be really interesting. So that's one issue that people are going to run into, is if there's multiple siblings who want to use this as a primary residence. Well, how is that going to work, and how is that going to tie to the exclusion? That could create a lot of issues. Now, let's say in a perfect scenario, it's one sibling, they're inheriting their parents' property. So if it is their primary residence, they're going to consider it their primary residence, there is still a reassessment. And this is the major change that we don't have right now, but now with Prop 19, that will happen. If you use it as your primary residence upon inheritance, then there's up to $1 million exclusion from the reassessment amount, okay? Now, if you use it as a second home, you do not get that $1 million exclusion amount against the reassessment. So, for example, if your parent owns multiple homes, or your loved one owns multiple homes, you might use one as your primary residence, but there might be 2 investment properties that are going to be reassessed. There's not going to be an exclusion amount applied to those. So major change for many people. Now, the question becomes, so what do I do then? How do I avoid a reassessment? Or how do I give this to my children or my loved ones so they don't have a reassessment? Well, we're working with a really short window. So one thing, Gary, that I want to be clear on is there are a lot of attorneys right now that aren't taking on these cases. It's very case by case, just because of this window between the holidays to that February 16th deadline. Now, there are some tools that can be done. So again, to reiterate, if you have your home in a revocable living trust right now, that does not mean that Prop 19 will not apply. I keep getting calls and questions, and so does my business partner, that, oh, I'm fine because I did a trust 5 years ago. That's irrelevant. So some of the ways that people are going around this or trying to plan accordingly so this doesn't happen is by some tools called grantor defective trusts, which are very in-depth trusts. You know, there's a lot, and the reason why it's case by case is there's a lot of things that go along with these different types of trusts, such as now you have a revocable trust, which now is an irrevocable trust. So that's one way. Some other ways that people are handling this is depending on the category of the asset, they're doing some LLC formations, business formations, but there's so much that's involved there because primary residence, we have, and without getting too in depth with taxes, we have homeowners exemptions. So that's why you oftentimes don't see someone's primary residence that they're currently living in an LLC. It's oftentimes just their rental and investment property. So that's something to be aware of as well. But those are the 2 main tools that I'm seeing right now is the grantor defective trust as well as different types of business formation.
Okay. Well, and that's good to know. Sorry, my light source here went down a little bit.
No, it's okay.
But very good to know, because again, like with a lot of people that may be thinking right now that because they have the trust that they're completely protected, and maybe there's something else that they could be doing. Obviously, like you said, case by case basis. You need to talk to your estate planning attorney, get your questions answered specifically. But I mean, again, this could really affect a lot of people. You know, like in some situations, you know, the kids may want to hold on to the family home, you know, indefinitely and use it as a second home or rent it or whatever the case. But again, depending on how long that home's been in the family, that, you know, they could be paying like maybe $2,000 a year for, you know, for property taxes. And then once it's reassessed, maybe that's a $2 million home now, who knows? And that's going to be like $20,000 a year. And that could actually make it really difficult for the kids or any inheritees to hold on to that family home. So,
well, and that's what we're seeing is a lot of people are getting properties inherited. Like you mentioned that, you know, I had one client a couple years ago that their parents bought a home, man, and I don't know how long ago, but it was in San Francisco. They bought it for around 62 grand. And then when they passed away, it was worth 2.1 million. So thankfully Proposition 19 wasn't into play for them then. But that's exactly it. You know, a lot of people, because of the property tax reassessment, may not be able to you know, keep the family home. The other issue is, you know, from just a tactical standpoint, a lot of people are inheriting these properties when they have their own residence and their own families, and they have their own family home. So in order to have the primary residence and get the exclusion of up to 1 million against the reassessment, well, are we going to have people pick up their families and, you know, kind of switch into a new primary residence? So, you know, again, from just a tactical standpoint, that's stressing a lot of people out. They have homes that they've lived in and built their family memories in. And so it really is, it's great, as you mentioned, for many situations, but it's also going to cause major changes for inherited properties.
Yeah, I understand. Okay, well, Chantal, this is great information. And again, I know it's case by case. How can somebody get a hold of you to talk about their specific situation, to maybe get some advice from you?
So they're more than welcome to email me or my business partner. Our website's dplawca.com, or you can call us 619-375-0077. I think awesome. I'm forgetting because of the holidays and all the eating, but you know, DP Law or Juicers and Parvizi, you can find us on Google, and again, case by case. And right now is a hot time to get your estate planning done, just with everything going on with COVID-19, a lot of people are extremely scared or dealing with sick loved ones. So now's a good time as we gather towards the end of the year to kind of have a New Year's resolution to get your papers in place.
Yeah, no, really great point. So again, thank you so much for joining us. And I'm sure everyone's going to really appreciate this information as well. And you and I will be in touch very soon.
Thank you. Bye, Gary. Have a happy New Year, everyone.
You too. Thanks, Chantal. Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.